What is going on YouTube? We are talking about cardio and calisthenics and why I personally think you should train it starting now if you're not training it already, or take it more seriously if you are already training it. So let's jump right into it. So what is the current problem? So many calisthenics athletes don't necessarily do cardio, and there's a few reasons I thought of for this. Most people who get into calisthenics are chasing strength and or aesthetics and not necessarily health or wellness. And then the legends from the past and the current ambassadors of the sports, like the top elite world class athletes, they don't necessarily promote or do cardio sessions themselves. That makes sense. If you don't see one of the top people in the sport doing something, you're probably not going to do it if you're trying to reach their level. And you can reach a very strong level in calisthenics while still having a terrible cardiovascular system. It's entirely possible. There are two different types of training. So just because you reach advanced, elite, or even a world-class level, that doesn't mean you have good cardio. All right. Who am I and why you should listen to me? I'm not going to spend too much time because you could just pause the video and read it for yourself if you want. But briefly, I studied this in school. I am a certified strength and conditioning specialist. I used to train athletes and teams, and I've been doing hybrid training for quite a few years now. With all that being said, I am not a medical professional. Please consult your medical doctor or appropriate health official when choosing exercise, especially if you have any heart conditions or anything like that, or if you haven't been doing cardio before. So definitely check in with whoever you need to check into before you start doing cardio. All right, let's get with the actual video. So my first argument is because of the heart. And if you didn't know this, the heart is the most important muscle in the entire body, and it's because it works 24/7. Literally, it beats over 100,000 times a day. Do you know how insane that is? From the time you were born to the time you died, your heart never stops beating. It literally never gets a day off. It works while you sleep. Can you imagine doing 100,000 reps of push-ups every single day for the rest of your life? That's literally what your heart is doing. It obviously keeps every organ alive because it delivers oxygen and nutrients throughout the body. And better cardiovascular health has been associated with living longer. So, it has the potential to improve your longevity. Similar to that, it's going to reduce your heart disease risk, lower your risk of stroke, high blood pressure, and other conditions. And perhaps one of the better benefits is going to improve your energy, and it's just going to help you with day-to-day life and activities. And it's also going to build work capacity. We're not going to touch on that because that's argument number 2. And then it also is going to allow you to basically get closer to full body mastery. I'm not going to explain what that is because that's my third argument. But basically, strength isn't enough. Being strong or muscular doesn't mean you're going to be cardiovascular fit. And I really need to ask yourself, do you really want to be the guy that can do crazy feats? You have a great body, have great aesthetics, but you can't walk upstairs without getting winded? God forbid you need a sprint to save your life. Could you sprint 30 seconds to run away from danger? You probably will never encounter a situation where you do need to sprint away from something. But what if you do? Could you sprint 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes of a moderate tempo to get away from danger, And these are just very extreme cases, but it's just what's the point of spending years, sometimes even decades working out if your heart is not also improving? It's literally the most important muscle, and most people neglect the most important muscle. So it's do you want to be strong? Do you want to look good, but just not be fit, not be healthy in general? If you're spending all this energy and time in the gym, in my opinion, I believe that you should also make your health just more of a priority, because if you have a healthier life, you're probably going to be able to have better workouts, things like that. You basically take care of the foundation before you build the rest of the house and the roof. And I really believe that cardio is the foundation of a very good strength training program. And I believe that functional fitness should be 10%. If you want to become super strong or super aesthetic or some combination of both, by all means do that. But I still think if you're going to spend energy at the gym, energy working out, energy researching this, if you're watching this video right now, then you should be somewhat functionally fit to help you in your day-to-day life. I'm not telling you to dedicate entire workout to doing those functional exercises you see online or anything like that. But just 10% of your training should just be geared towards, whether it's just being able to help you touch your toes. That's going to help you in day-to-day life. You don't have to go past that. being flexible is just a plus in general. Like, can you extend your arm all the way overhead? Basically, are you able to do all the tasks in your current life at a functional level? And that includes cardio. So really, it's the most important muscle. Please don't neglect training it. But let's carry on. Argument number 2. And that is work capacity. So you might have heard this term if you've been around the fitness scene for a while, but what is work capacity? So, work capacity is basically your ability to perform and recover from repeated physical work without a major drop in performance. And what this basically means in simple terms is that you're going to be able to recover faster between your different sets. Your workout sets you'll be able to extend them longer. Your actual workout, the duration of workout could potentially be longer. You'll indirectly be able to maintain technique as fatigue builds. And probably most importantly, you'll be able to recover better between workouts because your body's going to be more efficient at delivering oxygen and nutrients to your muscles that need, to recover from those workouts. And basically what all that means altogether, if you still don't understand what work capacity is and why it's going to be useful, here's an example I thought of. So let's say you're doing pull-ups. You just did on your workout program, you have 3 sets of pull-ups to do. You just did your first pull-up set, and you're waiting, you're resting until you can do set number 2. And so basically, your muscles like your back, your biceps, your lats might be physically ready. You might not feel any tension in them anymore, but you could still be breathing very heavily, and your heart rate you could still feel it beating through your chest. So that means you still have to wait on your cardiovascular system to recover it, even if your muscles aren't ready. So now you're just extending your workout. And I don't know about you, but I don't have all day to work out. And even then, your muscles should be the limiting factor of an exercise, unless you're doing like a dedicated cardio session. If you're trying to train your muscles, your strength, that should be the limiting factor, not your cardiovascular system. So you're still gonna have to wait to do your second and third set until your cardiovascular system recovers. That just means your heart rate comes down, your breathing is no longer labored. So working on your cardio, that's going to improve your work capacity, your ability to do more hard sets, do longer sets. Sometimes you have to stop a set because your heart rate just becomes too elevated. Like say you're like in a competition, you're in an endurance competition, you're doing a push-up competition with your friend. If you have better cardio than your friend, you're probably going to be able to do like more sets and more push-ups in a set. You probably be like, say, you're halfway through the push-up competition, and say, this is when you start to feel the tension, the blood flow is getting to your triceps and chest. You might be able to push out an extra 1 to 2 reps per set later on in that push-up competition than your friend, and eventually that could lead you to winning and being able to do more push-ups, just because you don't have to stop as often. You only have to stop when your muscles need to stop, not when your breath needs to stop. There's so many practical examples I could think of where work capacity will help you in your workout. It's pretty rare that improving your cardio won't help you in the gym. I can't think of any reasons. If you somehow think of any reasons where improving your cardio doesn't help your sport, please let me know. Drop it in the comments down below. But I really can't think of a single sport or area of fitness where better cardiovascular health will not be a benefit to your sport, whether it's calisthenics, gym training in general, just any other sport in general. And it has so many benefits to your life, but really work capacity is such a game changer. Your ability to do just more working sets without getting fatigued, potentially push yourself longer in the sets, or even when I'm doing high rep pull-up work, for example, I could, go through my first few reps so quickly. And then I know that if I have good grip strength, I could quickly wait to recover. My breathing could come down a little bit, and then I can knock out a few more reps. Now the limiting factor and how many pull-ups I can do in that set is really my grip strength, not necessarily my cardio. So, or you could just give some time for your muscles to recover faster and knock out a few more reps. So there's so many practical examples that I'm not going to list 100 of them, but really just think of how much benefit work capacity can have for your workouts. All right. And my third and final argument is full body mastery. There's so many avenues of fitness, and this is just an oversimplification. There's more pillars of fitness, But briefly, this is just like my example. This is my thought process. And again, there's more than four. But you have your upper body strength, you have your lower body strength, you have cardio, and you have flexibility. A lot of you, like, say you're trying to do like a Hefesto or something like that, will require a lot of flexibility in your shoulders, your biceps, just your upper body in general. There's so many things, like if you're doing one arm handstands, having better flexibility in your legs to open up a straddle to lower your center of mass, that's going to be useful. And it's the same with cardio. Flexibility helps you make your upper body strength more aesthetic, or even makes it easier in some cases. And I feel like a lot of calisthenics athletes neglect both the lower body and the cardio aspect. We're pretty good at upper body, somewhat good at flexibility, but when it comes to lower body and cardio, I feel like we really neglect this. And there's so many cool body weight movements like Nordic curls. Are you really a master of your own body weight if you can't do one Nordic curl, if you can't do one pistol squat, if you can't sprint a little? So it's like, are you really a true master, or really just like an upper body weight mastery? If that's your goal, that's your goal. That's you, that's your life. You're more than welcome to do that. But I encourage you all to, try to reach full body mastery. I'm not an expert at all four of these myself. I'll be the first to say it and admit it. But every day, every year, I work to get better, and I do get better at all four pillars. And maybe eventually, I will be a master in all four pillars. But I really encourage you to think about what it means to truly master your body weight. And to me, that isn't just your upper body strength. That's all four of these pillars. And again, there's more of them. But basically, if you only train your upper body and flexibility, you're still missing two of these pillars. Your house, your foundation is not going to be as strong as if you train all four of these. And I'm not telling you to become like an Olympic level sprinter or anything like that, but there's just so many ways to like train it and incorporate in your training program. So this is going to be your homework if you're still watching. Aim for at least 1 hour of dedicated cardio, and I repeat, dedicated cardio. So what does that mean? We're about to talk about it. For starters, freestyle calisthenics does not count. I'm not trying to be a hater. I love my freestyle guys. They do some really cool things that I cannot do myself. And yes, freestyle calisthenics does elevate your heart rate, but it's not dedicated cardio. It's not going to be enough to improve your cardiovascular system to a meaningful degree. So ideally what you're looking for is zone 2 cardio, but literally any zone is better than nothing. Any type of cardio is better than nothing. What is zone 2? If you don't have a heart rate monitor, or you don't want to buy one, that's totally okay. Zone 2 basically means you're going to be able to have a conversation with someone. So if you're going for a jog, you should be able to run with someone and have a conversation, or if you call your friend, you should be able to have a conversation, and that's what zone 2 cardio means. So if you can't have a conversation, that just means you need to slow down or do something less intense until you're able to have that cardio. And it's going to be different for every single person. You could put two twins on the same cardio program and they may have different zone 2 cardio zones. Don't really worry about the metrics in terms of actual heart rate or percentages of your max heart rate. Just go by feel, and it's think to yourself, hey, can I have a conversation with someone? Or if you're with someone, try to have an actual conversation with them. If you do a high frequency approach, you could literally jump rope before and after your workout. It doubles as a warm up and you can get in your cardio. You could play a sport like basketball, you could go biking, play soccer, baseball, literally any type of team sport. Team sports are really good for this. Daily walks. I'm not just going to give you a certain number, but if you do 0 steps per day, then obviously 5,000 steps per day is going to help you. If you currently do 5,000, try 10,000. You do 10,000, try 12,000, 15,000. I bought a walking pad and that made a tremendous difference. The amount of daily steps I get is also going to help you lean out. I'm not going to cover too much about that, but literally just try out different options. The best cardio option is going to be the one that you can be consistent with. So literally just try them all. Biking, elliptical, swimming, you could do boxing. I personally do dance classes. That's pretty fun cardio. You get to meet people, socialize. And I say at least 1 hour because the American College of Sports Medicine recommends about 150 minutes of moderate intense cardio per week and about 75 minutes of vigorous intensity. And don't worry about what moderate versus vigorous versus, just light cardio means. Basically, they're basically saying 2 to 3 hours of dedicated cardio per week. And that might be a lot for you. I understand we all have busy schedules. And especially if you're doing no cardio right now, 2 to 3 can be a lot. But if you just give yourself a goal of 1 hour of dedicated cardio spread out throughout the week, then eventually you'll see that, oh, I can really fit in 1 hour spread out over 7 days. Maybe eventually you'll get to 1 hour 30, 2 hours, and eventually that 3 hour goal mark. But really, just 1 hour of dedicated cardio, you can literally knock it out in a 1 hour like long, easy run. Build your aerobic base up. It's really up to you how you want to split it up. You can do 2 30-minute sessions, 3 20-minute sessions throughout the week. It doesn't take much for you to start improving your cardio, especially if you're a beginner and you have no cardio. But hopefully this video, makes you think about like whether you should be adding in cardio and calisthenics, and hopefully I made the argument that you should start training it, especially if you do calisthenics. I really think it has benefits for both your life and training in general. I think it's going to help you reach, become a true bodyweight master. It's going to help you in your actual workouts. But let me know what you think, whether you agree with me, whether you disagree. I'm always happy to have a healthy discussion, even if you disagree with me. So let me know in the comments down below. You can reach out to me on Instagram at ZNA Calisthenics. And let me know if you have any topics you want me to cover. I love to nerd out on like the intersection of calisthenics and weight training, just general strength training principles. I have a lot more videos planned, but let me know if there's a specific topic you want me to cover. And again, you could leave that in the comments down below, or just reach out to me on Instagram. That's probably the easiest and fastest way to message me. And let me know if anyone is looking for a custom training program. I do custom training programs. I've been training athletes and people for years. I think I know what I'm talking about. So if you want a custom training program and how that might work, reach out to me on Instagram. And if not, I'll see you all in the next video. Hope you learned something, and thank you for watching.